In 2021, a massive storm wiped out the highway from Vancouver to the rest of Canada, just before Black Friday.
Our product packaging got stuck in Vancouver. The big brands flew theirs out, but we couldn't afford that.
So Laura's dad and uncle rent this 26-foot U-Haul and drive it to Vancouver. We convinced the warehouse to give them the packaging. They go through the US border and bring it to Toronto.
Then we packed every individual product by hand at Connie's parents' basement and personally emailed every customer who was waiting.
We've always been pretty scrappy. Hi, I'm Connie Lowe.
And I'm Laura Thompson.
Together, we created 3 Ships. When we first started, we were 23 and fresh out of school, working part-time on the business. We each saved up 6 months of living expenses and then quit our corporate jobs to do it full-time.
We put in $2,000 each, so a $4,000 investment total. We made the formulas in Connie's kitchen, printed the labels ourselves, and sold at farmers markets and craft fairs. We tracked every dollar closely, and when you're starting with just $4,000, you learn fast that financial discipline is not optional. Both Connie and I are perfectionists. We gave ourselves a 3-month deadline to launch that we knew we couldn't wait for things to be perfect or we might never launch.
There's a quote by Reid Hoffman, "If you're not embarrassed by your first product, you launch too late." And I really believe that. We had to learn to set boundaries around our perfectionism. It's always going to be there, but it's about what you do with it.
I think perfectionism is also related to confidence, which lots of young women struggle with. I felt like I needed to have all the answers, so I would hesitate to speak up or start conversations out of fear that I had come across as unprepared. But the only way to combat those feelings is by doing that and learning to ask questions and seek out advice when you aren't sure of the answer.
We used to tell each other, fake it till you make it. And the more we looked around at other entrepreneurs, the more we realized that nobody has it all figured out. Everyone else struggles with confidence too. And they just have to push through it and know when to lean on others for support.
When fundraising for the first time, we had a tough time pitching to investors who didn't understand our vision. We had to learn to stop chasing approval from everyone and start finding the people who got it. And that was really hard.
Truthfully, I think part of the reason why we were dismissed early on was because we didn't know what we were doing at first. We didn't know what a close date was, we didn't know what a minimum check was. So back then, a lot of people didn't believe in what we were building. We would have made it easier on ourselves if we had spoken with other mentors or other founders who had fundraised before. Understanding the financial side earlier, how deals are structured, what terms mean, would have saved us time and stress. That knowledge really is power when you're trying to grow.
Also, a lot of investors are older men who just don't understand skincare. So we'd ask them, why don't you try the products? And the response would be, oh, I'll give it to my wife to try. But the investors who really wanted to understand wanted to try it, and they saw the value. And those were usually the ones who would end up signing on.
The other thing people pushed back on was our focus on profitability. At the time, the market was so hot, and investors didn't understand why we weren't chasing aggressive top-line growth. But we wanted to be able to control our destiny. And then later, when the market changed, everyone was like, oh, you were so smart to stick to your guns.
The reality was that we eventually needed outside funding to scale. We had to rebrand from our original name, and we knew it wasn't just a logo change. We needed legal work, trademark searches, branding that could last. That was our first real fundraising moment.
Later, we started landing national retailers like Whole Foods, and we hit another wall. We needed capital to actually fulfill those orders and roll out properly. We saw that every brand in our space had raised money, and we knew it was the way forward. Luckily, we both come from sales backgrounds, so the idea of pitching investors didn't scare us. But again, it was still a process of finding the right people. You needed the right financial advisors around you, people who support how you think and help you grow responsibly. That's what we've always looked for in our mentors, our investors, and our bank.
At the end of the day, if your bank is getting in your way instead of clearing barriers for you, that can really slow your growth. When businesses first start, cash flow is everything. So finding someone in your corner like TD can make a huge difference. Having a collaborator that believes in you is everything. A bank that's willing to give you money, loans, access to capital, access to advice. I know a lot of founders get stuck at that first $1 million mark and they can't break past it because they don't have the right accountant, team, or bank in their corner.
When you're raising money and growing fast, It's easy to focus on the numbers, but none of that matters if your team isn't aligned.
At first, it was only the two of us, so it was pretty easy to stay on the same page. As we grew, we knew we needed to stick to our values. Our non-negotiables are hustle, integrity, curiosity, and compassion. If someone doesn't have all of those, it's a sign that they're not the right fit for us. And it's not a case of, oh, they've got 3 out of 4, good enough. If we're not seeing all 4, we move on. We hire for those traits, and we've also parted ways with people who don't share our values.
When Laura and I first met, we bonded over how frustrating the beauty industry felt, with all the jargon and greenwashing and crazy markups. And I feel like our values are a reflection of us pushing back against all of that. Hustle means taking full ownership. Integrity means doing the right thing, even when no one's looking. Curiosity is all about critical thinking and asking questions. And compassion means connecting with other people on a human level.
In 2019, I was diagnosed with brain cancer. The timing was brutal, as 3Ships was still in its early, scrappy growth phase. But the diagnosis also changed my mindset. It made me work smarter, and I started focusing on doing fewer things better and building a more resilient, delegated business structure. I developed a real deep sense of belief in what we're doing and the need for natural products. The cancer diagnosis made me want to live with no regrets. If you're building something, make sure it brings you joy. Make sure it means something to yourself and to others. And yes, of course, you're going to feel doubted or overlooked sometimes, and it's very normal. I wish I could say that we're going to get over these feelings, but Connie and I never have. And it just gets easier and you get more used to it. Don't beat yourself up over it and understand that you're probably more critical of yourself than anyone else is.
You also have to learn to advocate for yourself. When people at trade shows would ask to speak to our boss, we didn't waste time trying to prove them wrong. We just used it as fuel and kept going. It was like, okay, we'll get to a point where that won't happen anymore. And don't forget the financial piece. The right advisor can help you think differently about how to grow, when to take risks, and how to build for the long term. And again, it comes back to having a good support group, having good mentors, collaborators, and partners. You have to put yourself out there a lot. There's so much instant gratification now. It can feel strange when something is challenging, and it might make you second guess yourself. It's going to be hard, and that's okay.
Let it be hard and keep going.